for us in the way only we can here on KTN News that two-day state visit of the Ugandan President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in the country. The media has been locked out of this for the last few minutes, but now we understand we have the signal. Let's cross live to Mombasa.
Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, and your delegation, let me once again take this opportunity to warmly welcome you to this port city of Mombasa on this state visit which you graciously accepted to come. And indeed, as I said earlier, this is the first ever visit of a head of state on a state function, on a state visit to Mombasa. So today we're also our first for Mombasa. And I think, as you have seen for yourself, Mzee, how people were extremely happy to welcome you here on this occasion. This visit reaffirms the very close ties that bind our two nations. As East Africans, we share a common history, common heritage, and common aspirations. But let me also thank our two delegations who have taken opportunity of this state visit and have worked hard for the last few days to ensure the inaugural session of the Joint Commission for Cooperation is indeed a success. And from what we have heard from their progress report, I believe that the fruitful discussions that they have had will be meaningful in terms of promoting trade, the free movement of goods, services, and people across our borders, but also our people-to-people interactions. Our one-stop border posts at Busia and the improvement of infrastructure processes points at Malaba and Wahaha have borne fruit, and even as we have discussed today, we need to ensure that we increase the number of border posts along our common border so that especially our border communities do not have to travel too far and thereby encourage illegal movement, but we need to build more in order for them to have much easier access to each other's countries. Let me also say I'm pleased that Uganda has kept its trust and continued use of Mombasa Port, and I'm happy to report that with the full operationalization of the standard gauge railway line, we have significantly cut the time taken to move cargo between Mombasa and Nairobi. And once again, Your Excellency, you will be our first, because you will be the first visiting head of state to use the SGR in your movement from Mombasa to Nairobi tomorrow. Once again, we invite Uganda to join us in the joint development, continued development of the SGR to ensure that the line continues all the way to Kampala as was originally envisioned. Lake Victoria is an important transboundary resource, crucial not just to Kenyan and Ugandan livelihoods, but indeed to the entire East African economy. And I'm glad, therefore, that Uganda is at the forefront of its joint rehabilitation and the progress that you have made in the removal of water hyacinth, which has choked off our lake. Your Excellency, we have also had the opportunity to share with you on issues multilateral and regional, and Kenya and Uganda share a strong and principled commitment to multilateralism and the reforms of our global governance system. To this end, Your Excellency, Kenya has presented its candidature for the non-permanent seat of the United Nations, and we count on Uganda's support in this endeavor. Your Excellency, over and above that, we have had an opportunity to discuss additional matters of mutual interest, matters of peace and security in our region, and I'm certain that we shall continue to work very closely together to both promote regional integration, but also to ensure peace and stability, which is a prerequisite of prosperity for our countries and for our region. In conclusion, Your Excellency, let me once again welcome you to Mombasa. Let me welcome you to Kenya. And as I've always said, please feel very, very much at home. Karibu nyumbani mzee, na ni wakati wako. Asante sana.
Your Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, His Excellency the Deputy President William Ruto, the ministers of the two sides. First of all, I want to thank His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta for inviting me for this state visit, which has been very, very, very profitable, very fruitful. We have just started, but we have covered a lot of ground. However, even before this visit, as soon as His Excellency came into government, during the last, what we call in Uganda, Kisanja. Kisanja means the term of office, the 5 years. It is the Uganda word. I don't know how they call it in Swahili. Awami. Awamu. Even in the last Awamu, straight away he handled our perennial problem of delays in Mombasa. Before his time, some of the people in the port thought they were doing Uganda a favor by handling our goods. So you had to come and beg them, please, tafadhali, in Swahili. Tafadhali, tafadhali, tafadhali. Not knowing that they were sabotaging Uganda, all right, but they were also sabotaging Kenya. The efficient handling of cargo in the port and on all the routes to the hinterland is good for the economies of Uganda, economy of Kenya, and the economies of the other hinterland countries. And the more business we do, the better for all of us. So I'm very happy that His Excellency Kenyatta, maybe because of his business background, he has really made a change. Moving from Mombasa to Uganda now, even before the standard gauge railway, has been considerably reduced, depending on the old, on the land route. The numbers have been dramatically reduced. In Uganda, we say, Tubatu Chari Yao, while we were still there celebrating His Excellency Uhuru's intervention on shortening the days for us, for the cargo, he now comes and prosecutes the standard gauge railway. That means the time is going to be shorter. Tomorrow, you have given me the big honor of being the first president to ride on the Kenya Railway, the new railway. This I will put it in my album and show it to all the Ugandans. And I'm told that it will take us just 4 hours to go from here to Nairobi. That's what I've been told. But I know that when the standard gauge railway is finished, it will take 24 hours from here to Kampala. So that means His Excellency and his government have reinforced their support for the hinterland economies, but also, of course, for the economy of Kenya. This is really enlightenment. This is enlightenment. It is what should have been done all the time and what should be done all the time, because there is no other way. There is no other way these economies are going to grow if we don't solve this issue of movement. There is no other way. It is really suicidal to continue behaving as if you are doing a favor to the business people when you allow them to, when you help them to move things fast. While we are still waiting for the railway, the Kenya government has already moved on the issue of the petroleum products. There are now jetties already and the pipelines up to Kisumu for the ordinary petroleum products and diesel, but also they are working on the aviation fuel. So that means that in the coming years, a lot of cargo will move from the roads to the railway, and fuel will move from the roads to the pipeline and across the lake to the tugboats, which can carry the fuel across the lake. It will be cheaper, faster, safer, and away from the roads, so that the roads remain for the drunkards and other people if they want to kill themselves, but without the addition of the oil tankers and the traders for cargo. It will be so. Therefore, we have discussed. The ministers have discussed a lot of other things. They will give you the details, the products, the non-tariff barriers. All those have been discussed. And we are saying that if all the African governments were doing this, because all this has got direct impact on business. If you delay my products for 4 days, I can go bankrupt. And once I go bankrupt, if I'm a business, that means the people I was employing, those lose jobs. That means the taxes I was paying will no longer be paid. So how will these countries develop? So I'm really very grateful to the government of His Excellency Uhuru for the enlightenment they have brought in Kenya and in African affairs. On the issue of the security in this region, we had a long discussion, and we are going to continue discussing and maybe involve a few other people, so that we totally pacify this area. Somalia. This is not a very difficult problem, because, you know, I have been handling some of these issues for the last 50-something years. And we can have total agreement with His Excellency, but we need to, because Somalia is not Kenya, is not Uganda, it involves other people. We shall talk with them, and we are sure there is a solution. We can solve this problem as we solve the problems of other places. On the free movement of people, I'm very glad that His Excellency has agreed about more border crossings, because I know those borders very well, because I used to use them from the other side, not from the government side, from the anti-government side. There's no place which I don't know. I know all of them. I know Busia, Amungra, Maraba, Ruahaha, all those. Najua hizo sehemu zote kwa mguu by walking through there. So we had a very good discussion, and we have agreed to have more border points so that people don't have to bother to go around But now, once we have more border points, please, I appeal to East Africans, also use the legal points. So that, because now you'll have no excuse. So I thank His Excellency again, and I'm looking forward to the wonderful ride tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Asante sana mzee.
Asante.
Asante.
We'll just have one question for each Excellency, one for His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta and one for His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Your Excellencies, Apollo K24 TV. I would like to know whether you have discussed the issue of Migingo Island and what have you resolved as far as, if you have discussed, as far as the dispute is concerned.
The issue was indeed one of the issues that the ministers were discussing, and I think they have agreed to put together a formal border commission to look not just at Migingo, but the entire length of our boundary with a view of concluding it within the shortest possible time. So definitely it was one of the issues that was in the discussion with the ministers. But more importantly, which I think is more important, is we have also agreed how we are going to develop the resources of the lake together for the mutual benefit both of Kenyans and of Ugandans, protecting the species of fish, but also ensuring that our fishing is also done in a sustainable manner. And I think that is really what is most important. Next.
Last question.
I'm June Karisa. The trade ties, between the East African community has dropped by 13% over the past 3 years. And this, of course, you've mentioned the infrastructure challenges as well as diplomatic roles between the East African countries. As Kenya and Uganda, what are you doing so that we can move up the numbers for the benefit of this region?
Well, I don't know the figures, where you are getting them from, but from what I can see, the trade is actually growing or will grow. I just take the example of Uganda, because Uganda exports very many things now in the region. So I don't know I'll have to look at your figures. Yes, there are still some issues. That's why we had the whole day discussing. If you see the list, I think the minister will give you the list of issues we dealt with. It's a long list. These are the things which block trade. The documentation, the slowness at the border, the lack of common standards. You know, if you don't have the same standards. There was recently a meeting in Geneva of the WTO. They were again auditing the trade efforts of all the countries in Africa. And they were pointing out all those issues. But I can assure you, because what is trade about? Trade is about solving people's problems. I need clothing. Where do I buy it from? I need materials for housing. Where do I buy them from? I need food. Where do I buy it from? I need means of transport. How do I solve that problem? People are going to school. Where are the scholastic materials coming from? This is the human needs. Trade is about the human needs. So, do Africans have human needs? Yes. Can they be satisfied by products either within the country or from the region? Yes, the potential is great. So then what are the intervening obstacles? That's why we had this wonderful meeting here. And if you read through the obstacles, we have been able to remove this one, remove that one, remove that one. so that we stop enriching others. The other day I was looking at the imports of Uganda. Textiles, 800 million shillings, dollars. Yes. Textiles, nguo, 800 million dollars. You're giving that money to others, and yet Uganda produces cotton. The other day I was looking at the figures for paper, karatasi. Ndugu zenu Waganda, they are spending $130 million importing paper. I don't know whether it includes toilet paper or what. I don't know whether, but they were saying paper. 130 million dollars. You earn $500 million from coffee. That's your Uganda. You have heard of Uganda? That republic there. There's a republic called Uganda. Those fellows earn $130 million, $500 million from coffee. Send back $800 million. That means for textiles. Then for paper. Then for pharmaceuticals. You go and look at the import figures of Uganda or Kenya. It's madness. It is hemorrhage, bleeding. That's what must be stopped. It must be stopped by import substitution and export promotion. And I'm sure if you look at the import figure of Kenya, you will see what is being imported. You go and look at the list. If they are importing it from wherever, why not buy it from Uganda? And why doesn't Uganda buy it from Kenya? Because at one time there was when I was before your father was born. What's your name? Your name?
June, sir.
Who?
June.
June. I'm sure before your father was born, I saw a paper mill at a place called Webuye. Would you have heard of Webuye? Because this one is .com. They don't know anything about Africa. They know everything about Europe and the North Pole and the South Pole. This place, Webuye is... Webuye is on the way to Bungoma. And when I was going to university, Kenya had built a paper mill there, near a place called Turbo. From Webuye you go to Turbo. Now I don't know what happened to that paper mill.
It collapsed. It's now when we're trying to revive it.
Yes. So this $130 million, which I'm donating, I don't know, to imagine I'm buying paper from Finland. Have you heard of Finland? Finland is a place which is so cold that a tree takes 120 years to grow. In Uganda, pine trees take 7 years. They are already mature. But I am buying paper from Finland. Why not buy it from Webuye? So don't be pessimistic. Don't look at those figures. It has come down. It is because of kulala. Watu wamelala. Lakini kama mtu amelala sio kufa. Kulala sio kufa. Atamuka anaweza kufanya kazi. And you can say now we are in a wake-up session now. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. And that brings us to the end of the press briefing. Thank you very much, ladies.